Please be advised that this video contains information and descriptions that may be very unpalatable for some. So if you have any sensitivities towards demonic entities or anything of that sort, please do not watch this video because we will be exploring those themes in depth. For those of you choosing to go on this journey with me right now, I want you to understand that when I use the word rape in this video, I mean it. And I know the heaviness and the pain associated with that word, and I use it consciously to describe something that is extremely painful and violating. I suffered from a condition that is called sleep paralysis from the years of 2013 to 2015. And I know that a lot of people have had experiences with sleep paralysis as well that are very confounding and terrifying when they happen, and have no one to go to discuss it because they feel crazy. And I understand, because at the time when these experiences happened to me, I would wake up in a terror and judge myself because I believed that those dreams and visions were the byproduct of some disgusting psyche that I had. I thought, damn it, my subconscious mind must be just evil and disgusting. And out of guilt, I buried that discussion and carried around a lot of darkness with me that metastasized and caused me a hell of a lot of pain that I didn't need to. Before I start, I would like to stress the fact that your body is multidimensional. So think of it as a Photoshop project. There are many layers to that body. So you have your physical body that you inhabit in form on Earth. And then you have your astral body, which actually is a tangential self made of starlight that lives in your body. And you actually transition into that perspective when you sleep. For the sake of ease, I'm not going to go into all the layers of the body because there are many that correspond to the different dimensions within ourselves. Just know the sleep paralysis state occurs when the astral body awakens within a physically sleeping body. So that hybridized state we would call the lower astral realm, which is only accessed by this sort of bastardized state of consciousness that is not supposed to take place. Lower astral rape is just as real, as in just as painful, just as demoralizing, just as destructive and terrifying as a physical assault that can happen to us in form. And I say this with complete 100% sincerity. Encounters with demons or low vibratory entities always takes place in the lower astral realm, which is not to be confused with the astral realm. The astral realm is a magnificent place where human beings visit to have metaphorical experiences that harken to their earth experience. In the astral realm, you are given insights into how to approach a circumstance a certain way. It is always beneficial, always loving, always guided by your highest truth. The lower astral realm is everything but that. It is complete rape of that experience. How is this realm accessed? Why do people have sleep paralysis? Why does such a large percentage of the population see this man break through their window and sit on their chest, this charred leprechaun-like man? Why is that something that so many people see? Why is that a collective vision? How is that even possible? Because the lower astral realm is actually a place that exists. You can think of it as a mirrored phantom version of Earth. It looks exactly the same, except your sensory experience of it is a lot more heightened. You know how you have different levels of resolution? You have 1080p, and then you have 4K and 8K. I would consider this to be like 8 or 9K. You feel everything a lot more intimately. You really are present in this space. You might think it's a bold statement to say that everyone is raped and tortured pretty much on a nightly basis in the lower astral plane, and I understand why you feel that way, because most people don't remember this. They wake up with a mist of what happened in that plane and immediately forget it, because when you wake up and transition from the lower astral plane into your earth reality, it's almost like a Brita filter, and you forget what just took place, and you go about your day as if nothing was wrong. However, that assault lives in your cellular memory, because believe it or not, your astral experience is always going on, and when you sleep, you just happen to dip into it. You dip into it for that 2, 3, 5, 10 hour window that you're sleeping, but it is always going on. It's not like a carnival that suddenly comes to life when you want to go on a ride. It is constantly turning and available to you whenever you desire to access it. I speak to you having remembered these experiences from the other side of waking up. All of the things I'm about to tell you about in vivid detail survived past that Brita filter moment, and I carry it now in my conscious memory, which many people do not. My first lower astral rape experience was the most soul-rattling, terrifying experience that I had ever undergone.
I awake to find myself sidelong on my bed. I am gazing laterally at the open bedroom door, which gives on to the living room of my one-bedroom apartment. The living room light is on, making the doorway appear as a blazing gold rectangle in contrast to my dark bedroom. I stare for a moment, familiarizing myself with this oddly suspended version of my bedroom that I now seem to be inhabiting. There is a faint, high-pitched ringing that seems to be sourcing in the center of my brain, and everything is rendered a much higher definition than usual, at least 3 times its normal resolution. Attempting to shift into a different position and fall back asleep, I realize that my muscles aren't complying with this impulse. I try again. Nothing. My entire body is limp, unresponsive. I make another attempt to move, this one panicked and emphatic, but still nothing happens. My eyes, however, which I will soon come to know as the eyes of my astral self, are the only part of me I can control. Suddenly, my awareness magnetizes to the golden rectangle that is my open bedroom door. As if on cue, a pale, middle-aged woman wearing rags and covered in hand streaks of dirt steps into the doorway, profiled and mostly silhouetted against the kitchen light, and stops. Then, without warning, she turns a face-warping snarl and charges at me across the dark bedroom, seizing my left arm with a clammy hand. In this moment, I am struck with the horrible realization that I can feel her grabbing my arm, rolling me onto my back. The woman mounts me with her clammy thighs and scrabbles open the zipper of the pants that I fell asleep in. Every cell of my body screams to stop what I know is about to happen, but I can only watch as she seizes my penis and shifts aside the dirty scrap clothing her vagina. And then I wake up.
In the days following this demonic assault, I was traumatized, had no idea who to talk to about it. I felt so alone with that. It was so invasive and hideous, so vivid. First of all, I did not know that I could feel such acute pain in a dream. Apart from mild sensations induced by the brain's expectation of something that's going on, I really did not know I could feel that level of pain. I did not know I could feel a clammy hand on my arm. I did not know that I could be forced into a sexual encounter with a demon and feel them. It's also important to note here that our oversouls have the ability to edit things that they don't think will serve us consciously in our earth life. Notice how this sequence abruptly ended when the demon woman took my penis and inserted it into her vagina. There was a reason that I did not remember what exactly happened moment to moment after that. My oversoul was protecting me from that experience, almost taking it into a divine editing software and removing it from my memory. Needless to say, from that point on, I was absolutely terrified to go to sleep. I would go and sleep over at friends' houses. I asked my boyfriend to come over on a nightly basis just to be by me in a vain effort to escape the demonic realm that I did not understand was sourcing from within my own resonance. Like a predator biding its time, waiting for my submerged self to break the surface of the water, the demons were waiting for me.
I awake to find myself in my bedroom, but not in bed, as expected. Instead, I'm levitating in midair. It takes me a moment to realize that I am bodiless, or at least outside of my physical body, which is confirmed when my slowly spinning frame of visual reference falls on my own body sleeping on the bed below. We are tethered by a silver-blue electric cord that undulates from the navel of the me on the bed to the navel of this me floating in the air. It feels like I am the victim of a great spider that is churning me, ever so slowly, in an invisible cocoon. I sense the presence of something tall, spindly, and evil somewhere behind me. Though it lurks out of sight, I know that it clings to the shadows in the corner of my bedroom, keeping me suspended with its dark magic.
Every night for the rest of 2013 and 2014, and I mean every night, I would find myself in all manner of twisted lairs, modern-day suburban basements, red kingdoms of writhing flesh, and screams of other beings who are trapped in the lower astral plane with me. I've had my mouth, eyes, and genitals sewn up in medieval chambers. I've been castrated. I've had my finger and toenails ripped off one by one. I've seen whole epicenters of demonic torment that can only be described as the bowels of hell.
It is night, and I am driving along Santa Monica Boulevard. There are very few cars on the road, so I assume that it must be the dead hour of traffic where late night and early morning meet, 3 a.m. The clock on my dashboard decrees that this is an accurate assumption. I am suddenly blinded by a bright white light. Squinting in my rear view, I see that a police car is pulling me over. Dutifully, I pull to the side of the road and scrabble for my proof of insurance in the glove compartment, and turn to see the cop already standing in my window. He is an older man with a sallow face and the gleam of experiment in his eyes. He asks me to step out of the vehicle. Confused, I oblige. As soon as my feet touch the pavement, there is a metallic flash and I feel my wrists constrict. He has handcuffed me. Wordlessly, he leads me over to his car, and despite my quivering protest, forces me into the passenger seat. He closes the passenger door, reappears on the driver's side with inhuman abruptness, and climbs into the car. Then he turns and fixes me with a silent, hungry stare. Suddenly, all of the car doors lock. I scrabble at the passenger door, screaming bloody murder to the darkened street outside in the hope that someone will save me. But but his caressing hands are on me. I am looking at a swatch of blackness. The frame is partially occupied by the lower half of a child's body just left and ahead of me. He is tethered to a vertical platform and mostly faces away toward the blackness. His legs, the only part of him that I can see, are ruined by lacerations and deep gouges that reveal sinew and bone and are covered in a milky substance that I know to be semen. Suddenly, the face of a figure descends into frame right in front of the naked boy's genitals. It is a cragged, bony, gray-greenish face framed by damp white hair. Its face contorts into a greedy snarl that splits from ear to ear and reveals a set of vampire teeth, and it lunges at the boy's genitals.
It was only one evening in early 2015 when I came to, in the moment of actually stepping out of my body as my astral self, that I understood that I had power over where I was going in the lower astral realm.
I awake in an underground room that looks like a terrorist bunker. Upon further study, I notice that its rock walls match the dimensions of my bedroom perfectly. There are networks of pipes threaded into the walls, black wires crisscrossing overhead. Wanting to get a closer look at this strange envisioning of my bedroom, I stand. There is a cool sensation of lightning, like I have just phased through a film of water and become immaterial. I pivot to see that my corporal body lies still and sleeping on the bed, and understand that I have just stepped out of it. Intrigue getting the better of me, I coast toward the living room. As soon as I emerge into the slightly larger space, which too is made of rock and lit by a single tungsten bulb, my body racks with terror. There is a man waiting for me on the other side of the wall. He is morbidly obese, housed in a dumpy gray shirt streaked with sweat or the remnant of a greasy meal. Saliva dribbles lazily from his slightly pouted lips. His beady eyes are hungry and mocking, and in the stillness of this eerie dimension, we both know that he will do what he pleases with me. The stranger in gray wades ever so slowly toward my frozen form, like a hungry beast casually enclosing its prey. I try to connect with the intruder through friendly words, but he has made his decision. Before I know it, I am being ensconced by his sweaty, rancid armpits in a bone-crushing hug. Slow would be a gross understatement of the rate at which this hug takes place. He digs his blunt sausage fingers into my obliques, churning the sensitive bones ever so slowly in a beyond intimate, aware way that can only be described as sexual. By the time he relinquishes me, I have screamed myself hoarse. Just when I think the torment is over, the man in gray asserts me to the floor for another round of torture. This time, he proceeds to sexually assault me in every way imaginable.
This unspeakable situation changed the whole game for me. I had no idea that someone could feel what I felt. It was the most demoralizing, disgusting, perverted thing I could even conceive of, beyond anything I could conceive of. It was a perversion of the greatest, cruelly creative imagination. The months following that attack really saw my devolvement for myself. I became a totally different person. I saw the negativity in things. I was afraid. I was much more stagnant in my career and my goals. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to drink, continuously drink. Now I want to weave in why I had all these experiences, because there's a reason why I have recollections of what happened to me in the lower astral plane. It is so important to understand that everything we experience has resonance. Heaven and hell exists in your body as potential resonances to inhabit. At the time, I was drinking every other day, and I was eating fast food. I was inundating my system with meat and dairy and all sorts of things that were creating density and syntheticness in my body. So my aura had synthetic resonance in it. And so whenever I woke up in the astral realm, I was in a synthetic realm where all of these synthetic entities called demons could reside. If I was eating a high vibrating diet, then I would not have these experiences. The toxins we consume on a day-to-day basis that are considered to be conventionally okay, coffee, dairy, meat, MSG, and the countless chemicals laced in fast food to keep you addicted and coming back for more, are the reason for all negative astral experiences ever experienced. Ever. Everything that's going on in the lower astral plane will always impact your earth life. How can it not? They're not separate, and I feel like we see them as being separate things. That is a timeline that is always unfurling and impacting this timeline as well. We're all different versions of ourselves. So if something's going on in that lower astral realm, it's going to reverberate down and affect our lives in very negative ways. And if we are constantly being raped and tortured in the lower astral realm, it's going to cause indescribable obstacles in our earth experience and make things seem dense and impossible. We all know what it's like to go about our day and feel this sudden, inexplicable swell of emotion, sadness, rage, loss, fear, whatever it is, that seems to come out of nowhere. And many times it's not coming from our earth experience, it's coming from the astral plane. Why does this happen? Well, let's think about it. There's a reason why this is taking place, why we are able to resonate with the lower astral plane. This has everything to do with your inner reality. You've heard the quotes, you've seen the platitudes, as within, so without. Creating inner bliss is your power. That is the only thing you can really do in this life to ensure positive experience that reflects your inner reality. So when you purify your gastric space, your intestinal tract, your organs, you are ensuring a life of synchronicity and magic. If you eat organic foods, if you eat things that are of the earth, natural, high vibrating, you're gonna have a high vibrating experience in all levels of your body, because this is the only version of you that is incarnate in form. Everything else is kind of at the mercy of your choices here. So if you eat poorly, that's going to resound up the rungs. So if you're ingesting all of these synthetic foods, you're going to be having a synthetic experience. Your life is going to feel disconnected and random and at the mercy of the external world, because that's what you're doing inside. You're taking the power out of yourself to create that synchronicity, and so everything appears random and nightmarish. Your body was always intended to heal itself, but when you are feeding it negative things, when you are telling it negative things, when you are doing negative things to your body, it cannot serve you anymore. When your gastric space is repeatedly inundated with meat, processed sugar, corn syrup, negatively programmed water, medication, your gastric space begins to protect itself from the onslaught by creating something called an intestinal plaque. Mucoid plaque is the body's last-ditch effort to preserve itself from what you're doing to it. And where am I going with all this? Well, somewhere not very pleasant, but necessary, because mucoid plaque creates the bedrock of negative organisms called parasites that actually stake up a home in your intestines and create these negative experiences you're having when you sleep. I'm not venturing into this territory to be disgusting. I'm doing it because it's true. The honest fact is that most people watching this video have a parasite that is causing them harm. When you create a low resonance in your body, you create that mucoid plaque with all the synthetics that you're eating, and then you introduce meat into your intestines. Those are filled with parasites that hatch in your intestines and grow and can become really big. The average person has up to 5 parasites living in their organs. Imagine how much energy that is taking away from your creatorship as a person. To draw this back to lower astral experience, when a parasite lives in your bowels, it is basically a placeholder for a demonic entity inside of your body. So bear with me here. I know this is quite terrifying, but when you have a parasite living in your body, that corresponding demon essence can actually screw with you now in the lower astral realm, because it can project an experience into your aura. It's living in your aura, it's in your body, so it can do anything it wants to you when you sleep. Most people will be very surprised to know that Jesus actually spoke about this in the Bible. This was a very crucial talking point of his in the Book of Peace, which was not so ironically omitted from the Bible so that people wouldn't find this out. Jesus talks about going down to the river, taking a reed, inserting it into the anus, and expelling the parasites living in the bowels that he calls past sins. Observe the past sins and crimes expelling out of your anus. I mean, that's really what we're dealing with here. There are other essences living in us, causing us so much pain and confusion that no amount of spirituality or meditation or wishful thinking can get us out of, because we are stuck in a low and dense vibration when these things are living inside of us. As God essence, it is always our choice to do whatever we want, and that is part of this game that we play. But we have to understand that a lot of these choices are influenced by conditioning and propaganda to keep us in a low resonating state so we don't rise into our full creatorship. We are so far from being the powerful beings that we really are, from creating utopia. When I finally realized that I had parasites living in my body, 3 of them, 2 in my intestines and 1 in my liver, my world transformed. I was able to purge them and finally have sensible, loving, beautiful, supportive, metaphorical dreams that described what was happening in my earth experience, that was lacing it with magic. Everything became much more purposeful in my life. I suddenly rose into a new and higher version of myself I never knew existed, simply by getting rid of these 3 tiny little parasites and refusing to feed my body the synthetic foods to keep them sustained. It's time to reclaim our God essence in every single level of our bodies and to see ourselves as multidimensional. We've come to a very narrowed and ignorant part in our Earth history where we really don't believe in anything outside of what we see, feel, and hear on Earth. There's so much happening. We actually are living in all sorts of dimensions at once. And if we are out of alignment here on Earth in this physical level of our truth, then that will affect all other versions of us and cause a lot of pain that makes no sense to us. Heaven on Earth is only one giant step away from what we've been told our whole lives to be true. Please share your lower astral experiences here, or send me a message, or keep the conversation going in any way you can. If you know others who are greatly suffering in their dreams or in their lives in general, please inform them about what is going on so that we can really start to create a general resonance towards heaven on earth. Thank you very much. I love you. Sweet dreams.